Need a recipe for making girls scream? Grab some acid wash denim, a tight tee, and you're halfway there. Mind-blowing boy band number 3, New Kids on the Block.
The cool thing about the New Kids on the Block, as a fan and loving them now, they make you feel like what you felt like when you were 13 years old.
In 1984, New Edition parted ways with manager Maurice Starr.
He leaves with the idea and says, I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to show them how easy it is. Only this time, I'm going to do it with white kids, and it's going to be even bigger.
Jordan, Jonathan, Donnie, Danny, and Joey were chosen from hundreds of Boston boys in an open tryout.
You have 5 guys who harmonize so beautifully that that's what girls want to hear.
It was just so exciting to be in a group and to prove people that, you know, we had something to say and we were talented and we were ready to rock the house. And there was no equal to that. It was all worth it.
Thanks to their loyal posse of fans, NKOTB's 1988 album Hangin' Tough spent a whopping 132 weeks on the charts.
You know how popular a boy band is based on how loudly they scream in relationship to New Kids on the Block.
When we first, hit it huge, we were kids in a candy store. We loved it.
I'll never forget having a conversation with Joe McIntyre one time, and he was like, look, if I get 15 grand to buy a white BMW, I'll be happy. They were happy to be a part of a band. They were happy to get girls. In our wildest dreams, we never understood or could fathom that it was going to get as big as it got.
By the early 90s, the band sold close to 80 million records and earned almost $400 million from lunchboxes, bed sheets, action figures, and their own 900 number.
They had their own dolls. They had everything. They learned that they were a brand.
The boys topped the Forbes list of highest paid entertainers in 1991, besting Bill Cosby. But they went their separate ways in 1995.
New Kids was cool, didn't stay together long enough. I think if you asked a lot of boy bands in the decades or years to follow, I think New Kids was their main inspiration.
Fans were ready, willing, and begging for more when the boys reunited to tour in 2008. A little-known artist named Lady Gaga opened for them.
They're continuing to be relevant in the music business rather than being a nostalgia band who's just running around playing the hits, because they keep releasing new music.
Once you're in a boy band, it's kind of hard to break out of the boy band.
You're in a boy band for life.
To see the faces at this show and how happy they are. And it's just like, it's overwhelming to know that, just doing a concert can bring so much joy to so many people.
13 down and 2 to go. Are you Team NSYNC or Team Backstreet Boys?
We were friends with a mission. What way do you want it?
Find out which band is top dog when we return.
What if there was a place where...
Okay, so these guys barely need an introduction. We'll give them one anyway. Awesomest boy band number 2, NSYNC.
NSYNC were probably the most dreamiest boy band of all time.
I think a good portion of my childhood consisted of listening to NSYNC.
NSYNC's choreography was tremendous. And then voices like Justin and JC were just extraordinary.
It's always cool. I excite myself.
NSYNC set standards, incited fans to near riot, and broke records like no other boy band before them.
The No Strings Attached album, it was just amazing because it broke records. First day we sold 1.2 million, and the first week it sold 2.4 million.
They went double platinum in a week? That's incredible. That's ridiculous.
Back in 1995, Orlando theme park singer Chris Kirkpatrick reached out to boy band impresario Lou Pearlman.
Lou said, okay, you find the guys and I'll support you. And so that's when Chris found Justin and JC and Joey all around Orlando. And then they found me, and that's how we started the group.
We were friends with a mission, and we had somebody that was willing to put money behind us.
They had talent, good looks, and plenty of hair gel. There was just one thing missing.
When Lance came into the group, we decided to call him Lanston. We were in the kitchen joking around about something, and Justin's mom took all of our names and said, the last letters of your first names spells NSYNC.
We rehearsed and did stuff for about a year and didn't find any contracts. Nothing was going on. Nobody wanted to sign us until Johnny Wright came into the play.
With legendary music manager Johnny Wright on their side, the boys were finally ready for their close-up.
NSYNC came out the box at a 10.
You saw them evolve from small town band to global gods.
By the time their third album, No Strings Attached, dropped, the transformation was complete. The single, It's Gonna Be Me, became one of NSYNC's biggest hits.
People heard the song, saw the video, loved the song so much.
It's gonna be me. My secret favorite NSYNC song is It's Gonna Be Me. You know, every little thing I do. Like, that song is so good. And the dance moves, because that's with them. They also had such good dance moves.
We all had a part. Like, JC and Justin would write some of the songs. Chris would come up with a lot of the staging things. Me and Lance would come up with a lot of the treatments for the videos.
NSYNC had the music-buying public eating out of their sexy, synchronized hands.
I was obsessed with NSYNC growing up. My first boy band concert was NSYNC, and I took it so seriously. I made all of my girls go shopping, and I was the one that bought the zebra pants and was really convinced that Justin Timberlake would notice me from stage in my seat because of my zebra pants.
The band's 2000 album, No Strings Attached, sold 1 million copies the day it was released.
The reason they held on for a little bit longer is because of their versatility. They started doing other types of music and just opening up their fan base.
The band took a hiatus in 2002, which gave Justin a chance to discover his other talents.
NSYNC, obviously, they gave birth to Justin Timberlake, so forever we will be grateful.
Of course, Justin has that whole Grammy and Emmy-winning solo artist, comedy video, and movie star thing going for him.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
NSYNC never recorded together again.
They say they'll never get together, which enrages me because there's nothing better than, like, a reunion. Please just do it for me, like,
yeah,
please.
For the kids. For the kids.
I know.
We've had boys, we've had men, we've had Boyz II Men. Brothers, best friends, and perfect strangers make up the 14 fabulous boy bands we've seen so far. But now it's time to reveal the awesomest boy band ever. They're our #1. Give it up for the best-selling and most beloved boy band of all time, the Backstreet Boys.
I want it that way.
That Backstreet Boys video, it's like I hit puberty while I watched that video.
They had a little bit of swagger, right? So they had soul.
Brian Thomas Luttrell was probably my first crush.
They were the total package.
The record-shattering, heart-melting, awesomest boy band in the history of the world was the brainchild of one man with a plan. And a plane.
Lou Pearlman used to operate a private plane leasing business, and he saw these kids renting his planes. And he's like, really? A group full of kids makes this much money? I gotta get me one of those.
AJ, Kevin, Nick, Howie, and Brian's self-titled debut album came out in 1996 and sold a staggering 6 million copies. Then they started getting popular.
I went to a Backstreet Boys concert and it was insane. Girls were screaming and crying and like trying to touch them.
We had girls stow away on the bus. We've had girls sitting in our dressing room. We've had girls jump up on stage. Like, I've seen my fair share of boobs in my life. But when a girl flashes you on stage to this day, I still think it's cool.
By the time the Backstreet Boys released their 1999 album, Millennium, they were a full-fledged phenomenon. Millennium, which featured the iconic single I Want It That Way, sold a record-breaking 1.1 million copies in the first week.
The Backstreet Boys have the distinction of latching on to one of the most inescapable songs of the last 15 or 20 years. There's almost no one in America who's not gonna sing along if you start singing I Want It That Way.
You are my fire.
To know that it's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one of the best songs ever written is just like, damn. Makes me go, God, I wish I wrote that song.
I Want It That Way is the best boy band song of all time. That song as a whole defined that whole era of boy bands.
I want it that way.
You want it what way? What way do you want it and how do you want it? What are you talking about? The song makes no sense.
Fans didn't care and sent the album to diamond status. Yes, there is such a thing.
Platinum was 1 million. Diamond is 10 million. Millennium was 3 diamonds. It was crazy.
The Boys took a hiatus in 2001, but when they came back a couple years later, their fans were right where they left them, drooling for more.
I embrace it. I love it. I'll always stop and take a picture. I'll always stop and sign, except when I'm eating.
When I moved to LA, my box of Brian Thomas Luttrell things moved with me. I've lived in LA for almost 10 years, and this, with some other pictures, are still under my bed.
In an attempt to explode the ovaries of their maturing audience, the Backstreet Boys joined forces with New Kids on the Block in 2011, dropping yet another top 10 album. Their 2012 NKO TBSB tour grossed $40 million in the U.S. alone, and an international leg was quickly scheduled.
15 years later, they're still selling out arenas.
They're just a magical, awesome formula. They sing like angels, sliding down a rainbow sent from heaven, and they can dance. I mean, if that's not a formula for I love you, then I don't know what is.
It's great. I love my job.
From the projects of Boston to the shores of England to the theme parks of Orlando, one thing remains constant.
As long as there are teenage girls, there will be boy bands.
They remind me of my childhood and first crushes.
We need that person who's gonna teach us and be our first boyfriend.
Boy bands capture the journey of life.
I'm not ashamed to be called a guy that was in a boy band. I wouldn't change it for anything. That won't it that way.
Previously on Keeping Up with the Kardashians.